he had Jack Daniels and he had goofballs. They were some kind of psychiatric meds he was taking from World War II, and he called them goofballs, and he'd take them with his Jack Daniels. But then every Sunday, and he had his Thompson Chain Bible by his bed, but every Sunday he was in church, and this is Brother Bob. Well, Brother Bob was probably the meanest man I ever knew, and the angriest man I ever knew. I never met anybody like this man. And I wanted to protect my mother, but I couldn't. I was so frightened of him, and I couldn't. And one day I got the courage up. On a Friday night, he came at 1 to 2 in the morning, and he's sitting her in the chair and slapping her. She wore sunglasses a lot because of black eyes. And "You Jewish whore, that's not my son, that's a bastard." And I'm sitting there crying, which happened 100 times. And as I'm crying, I got my courage up. And I said, "Stop it." And when I said stop it, he looked up those stairs and saw me. He ran up those stairs and grabbed me by my throat and lifted me way above his head and started strangling me. I remember trying to hold on to those fingers and looking in those eyes, and I thought, I'll never make it to 20. It's over tonight. And I passed out, and I woke up in a fetal position covered with my own dried vomit. And I remember my prayer, James. It was anger. I was alive and I was mad. I screamed out to God, why was I born? It made no sense. This woman, she's suffering because of me. This man has despised me every day of my life and abused me. Why was I born? Why couldn't he have ended it? And when I prayed that prayer of rage and anger, all of a sudden, I saw a bright light, real bright, and I thought it was my father. I thought he came back with a spotlight. He's going to finish me off. So I threw my hands up to protect my face, but there was no screaming, there was no anger, there was no rage. And I didn't know what it was, and so I peeked through my fingers, and I saw 2 nail-scarred hands, but the scars weren't here. They were way up high here, and they were coming at me. And then I looked at the eyes. Every color of the rainbow was in the eyes, and they were smiling eyes. I'd never seen a man's eyes smile into the eyes of Jesus. And I could see, it was like magnets. When you look at the eyes, you couldn't stop looking at them. They just drew you in, and he kept smiling at me with those eyes. And I first thought, am I crazy? Have I lost my mind? Well, I don't even believe in this. What is happening to me? And as he's smiling at me, he said 3 words. First, he said, "Son." James, I didn't realize until he said it, I'd never heard the word son. My mother never called me son. She loved me, she couldn't say it. Then he said, "I love you." I'd never heard the word "I love you." If I said to my mother, "I love you," she'd say, "Me too, me too." But she had been abused. Then he said a 3rd word, "I have a great plan for your life." And he left. I've never seen him again. I've never heard his voice again. But that night, I had hope for the first time in my life.